Morning. I'm Melisa Nielsen with Waldorf Essentials, and I hope you had a great weekend. I did. We worked hard to get something done, something pretty amazing that I'm pretty excited to tell you about. So we have a video today, and we're going to talk about like my favorite gift ideas. But before we do that, we're going to talk about like the gift that you need to give yourself. So we have a new program that just launches today, and the card is only open until Thursday. So if it's something that you are thinking of that you might want to give your family, then I highly suggest you hurry up. And if you're a Thinking Feeling Willing member and you want this program, then in your Thinking Feeling Willing course, there's a place it's like the very last module has a coupon code for you. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, the program is called Parents in Sync. I have some notes over here. I'm going to read to you. If you need this program, this is how you'll know that you need the program. Okay. Are you embarrassed by your children's behavior? And if so, how often? And we're not just talking about they make you feel silly. We're talking about like you're at the grocery store and they're falling all apart. You can't figure out why. Are you getting into disagreements with your partner about your children's behavior? And if so, how often? Do you feel guilty, sad, or disappointed in yourself about your kids' behavior? I've been there. I've totally been there. How often are you relying on caffeine to get through your day? And we're not talking about like when you have a big push to get something done. We're talking about like, daily, which I have totally been there too. Before I employed the things that we talk about in Parents in Sync, I was a quad shot a day kind of gal before I met Eric, and lots of caffeine flowing through these veins, so I totally understand. And now there's almost none. Let's see. Do you use a TV, iPad, YouTube, etc. to get a break from your kids? When was the last meaningful conversation you had with your partner? Does bedtime feel like a war? And do you feel terrible afterwards or angry? Like I was always the mom that I always was worried that I'm like, please, God, don't let them die before tomorrow, because the last words I said to them were in anger. Have you ever been there? Do you have to yell to be heard? And even then, do they not listen? How happy is your home, and is your life in chaos? So if any of those things ring true to you, you want to hop over to our new program and check it out. You can find it on our Instagram, and it's the first link in our link tree. And there's actually a little freebie class that goes with the program that you can sort of test it out and get to know us a little bit if you don't know us. And you can find that again. It's at waldorfessentials.com/stop sinking. Stop sinking. Then you can sign up for the class there. And then you get it's like quick access to it. So you can do that. If you are a Thinking Feeling Willing member and you're like, yes, I want to take care of this, I want to do this, again, there's a coupon code in Thinking Feeling Willing for $100 off. So you are welcome to check that out. And if you have questions, just drop me a note.
The URL is waldorfessentials.com/stop-sinking.
Yes.
S-I-N-K.
S-I-N-K-I-N-G. All right, here we go. We're going to talk about gift giving. If you have any questions about Parents in Sync, let us know though. So we're super excited. You're probably going to see lots of ads about it because they start today. All right, my gift ideas. Now, I tried to, because, there's all these like, top gift ideas, 10 things you can get your Waldorf kid. I'm not thinking that way, because yes, these are Waldorf ideas until like a certain point, and then I want you to really sort of cue into what your kids want. And as a mom of 5, it's not always been wooden toys. So we're going to talk about that and just sort of like what my favorites are. So, and I'm going to start with like the 0 to 3 group. So the 0 to 3 years, my favorites are like just open-ended stuff. Blocks. I don't generally do puzzles for this age because it's too heady for them. Even the ones that are like put one thing in the other, I just don't generally tend to do that for the 0 to 3s. But blocks, favorite books, these little Ostheimer guys. And people will say to me, is Ostheimer really worth it? Yeah, it is. I mean, yes, they're expensive, but yeah, I totally believe that they're worth it. They're hand painted, and they're really good quality, and they'll last you for years and years. The great thing about Ostheimer is that they also retain their resale value generally. So as Soraya has grown out of ones that I don't want to keep for myself, because these are mine, these are not hers, that I don't want to keep for myself, we have moved them on. And then as they retire, then they're worth oodles of money. So, these are for sure fun to have, and they come in all kinds of, there's plants, and there's animals, and there's people, and there's a never ending supply of Ostheimer. I really like Trisha over at RVA Naturals. I think it's rvanaturals.com. And she's sort of who hooks me up often when I'm ready for some Ostheimer. That or eBay. eBay, you can get somebody else's used ones, and you don't have to buy them new. And so anyways, I'm a huge fan of Ostheimer. And am I saying you need to have that in order to have a Waldorf home? No. Absolutely not. In fact, I will tell you that we didn't have a lot of Ostheimer until probably, and I've been a Waldorf mom for over 20 years, probably the last 10 years has been like Sam and Soraya were so much more into playing with the little wooden toys than my bigger kids were. My bigger kids, like Jacob he loved the toy kitchen. And he got the toy kitchen when he was 3, the year he turned 3. And that provided so much play for so long. And it was such a good, I think we paid $200 or $300 for the toy kitchen, but it was the big Christmas gift, or no, maybe it was a birthday gift, but he for years was like, I just want stuff for the toy kitchen. So it became an easy thing to get him gifts for, like at birthdays and stuff, because there's a never ending supply of wooden food and all kinds of things. We had, I think, just about everything in our wooden kitchen. And so, and then his younger sister ended up playing with it, and it became something that actually all the younger ones ended up playing with it. So it was the gift that kept on giving. So if you can give one big gift and you've got children that are coming under, then it will last for a long time. So let's see, Jacob is about to be 21, and we got that for his, like I said, I think his 3rd birthday. And Soraya played with it, Sam played with it, Ellie played with it. And now I believe is it at Kelly's house. Kelly Sandberg, our former assistant, my dear friend, I think it's at her house, and her grandchildren play with it, and her children played with it. So it's gotten a lot of love, and that's really what you have to think about when it comes to bigger ticket gift ideas for kids when it comes to Waldorf. And if you can stop with the sticker shock and move forward, one thing that I like to do. And I didn't do this a lot with my parents as far as the bigger ticket stuff, but I always sort of let them know what it was that they were playing with. And I know there are going to be grandparents that are like, I'm just not paying that. So then you have to come up with other ideas, and hopefully some of these other ideas will work for that. We always keep an Amazon wish list, so it's easy to sort of send the Amazon wish list to grandparents. That's where we put all of our books. Every now and again, you can find some Ostheimer on there. The Holtz Tiger brand is on there, which is another brand of wooden toys that's pretty good. So you can sort of put those on an Amazon wish list, and then send that Amazon wish list to parents or grandparents or anybody who wants to give gifts to your kids. That's something that we do fairly regularly. I will send out the wish list, even if it's February. Hey, we updated wish lists. Just wanted to send these to you in case you want to buy some stuff. So that way, you've got a never-ending supply of ways to let your family and friends know this is what we do, and this is why we do it, why we love it. Okay, so let's see. 4 to 6 age group. I would say things like crayons, some art supplies, and I'm going to take a second to talk about why we've always chosen higher quality art supplies. I know if you're new to Waldorf, you're thinking, oh my gosh, those crayons are so expensive. They are, but those crayons last 20 years. So we have crayons and pencils that are more than 10 years old. So it's definitely good when they're young to start with that. Now, if you have a child that still eats things, I'm just going to warn you, the orange and the yellow apparently taste good. Sam, I mentioned that to Sam the other day, and he's 13 and a half. He's like, oh yeah, I remember those crayons tasting good. So I'm sure it's the beeswax content in them, but there's something about the orange and the yellow that not just children, but dogs also like. So you want to keep them up away, or you can be frustrated at your investment and somebody ate them. But I generally tend to let children have all of the good art supplies from day one, because when they know that they have to take care of things, then they treat things well. And so you sort of want to be in the habit of that. If you've been in Crayola land and they haven't treated their crayons well, it's really just a matter of like raising awareness. And I think you can do it with any children, because even though we use Stockmeyer at home, at church, we teach Sunday school, and there was a dreadful box of like melted crayons in my classroom. I threw them away, and I went to Target and I bought Crayolas because it was for my Sunday school class and wasn't going to take my Stockmeyers every week. I could, but so I bought Crayolas, and I bought enough to fill this tin. And because I raised the vibration and awareness of these 6-year-olds, they're very careful with these crayons. So we've had the box in there. It's probably been what, dear? 4 months? 5 months,
Yeah.
probably. And there's probably only 2 broken ones out of the whole box, and these are rowdy 6-year-olds. We have up to 8 6-year-olds at a time sometimes in that class. And they're all nice to my crayons, because I tell them, okay, remember, I bought these just for you guys, so please be really nice to these crayons. So it's raising their awareness of the supplies. And I would do that if you are struggling with, my kids are so hard on supplies. I would think about how do you present that, and how do you sort of raise their awareness about things that that you want to keep in good supply. So we've done that with pencils, with crayons, with paint paper even, and I generally let them, when they want to paint just willy-nilly and it's not lesson time, I generally just have them use sketch paper. Like mainstream sketch paper is pretty holds up pretty well, and like Strathmore brand, Canson, all of those are pretty good. Canson mixed media is pretty good. I don't use it for wet on wet, but for sure if they're just painting with paint palette, it's really good for that. So that would be my suggestion for the 4 to 6. Don't bug off on the good supplies. Get the good supplies. Start to raise their awareness when they're little, and they'll not depart from it as they get older. Okay, also the 4 to 6 group, this is about when I start to allow Legos. Sometimes with the little ones, we did Duplos. Like Soraya loved Duplos, but the other kids really were not ever into those. But we did Legos from about 4 to 6 on up. And I know there's like controversy. Oh no, but if it's something that has directions and it's not open-ended. So here's my thought on that. Yes, there are going to be things that have directions that they're going to want to like zero in. And I would save that for some of the older kids, like 8 and 9 and up. They're going to zero in. And here's what I found. It's more like building a model for those kids. It's building a model, and that takes skill that the younger ones don't have yet. So when they're into like building the model with the Legos, I'm okay with that, because they're following directions. They are taking the time to really build something that they want. And it's okay that it's not always open-ended. We always had very open-ended Legos too. So, Sam still got a couple. We don't do a ton of Legos anymore, although we were the Lego family. Like, I just tell you, how much did we sell Legos for, Daddy? Like $2,000. Some insane price. We had like hundreds of pounds of Legos when the big kids were at home, and we ended up selling them on eBay. It's insane.
They piled up.
And they pile up fast. So then we had, Harry worked at Legoland, and twice a year at Legoland you get half off. And so then it was like Legos all over again. So we've gone through and gotten rid of a lot of Legos just because Soraya's not really into them. Sam's into the model aspect of them. So he wanted some of them for models. He's got some Star Wars ones that he really likes. And I think one of his favorites is this Ninja Turtle van that he has. My kids are really like retro 80s. So though when it comes to that kind of thing, I am okay with it as far as it being a model. But they always had open-ended pieces too, because the creativity that comes from the value of not having directions, I think is a big deal. I think that when you can have that balance of both, of yes, understanding that children might want this model, and then understanding that, hey, they want to have the value in both. And so that kind of brings me to the next thing is like model kit building. So that would be for your older children. Sam started building models when he was about 12. Dad builds models. And so they have a lot of fun sort of building models together. And I think it's really this great piece of sort of handwork and inner work that it takes the mind to be really focused on. Because if you miss a step in model building, then you're kind of screwed and you have to go back and fix it. But it's really a good way to bring something to an older child that is maybe out of that space of Legos, out of the space of, wanting wooden toys. So model kit building, I think, is a great endeavor. And I think there's so many different model kits, from trains to cars to Star Wars stuff to, just go to the model kit store or walk into Hobby Lobby and see what they've got there. What did you say was the best brand, Daddy, of model kits that you really like?
Bandai.
The Bandai model kits tend to be really good model kits. And what about the car ones? They were like there's another brand. Anyway, don't go on the cheap. They're not super expensive, but don't buy like the crappy model kit from Walmart. Go to actually get a good model kit. And with that, of course, in some cases, you'll need some model kit supplies and like paints and things like that. It just depends on the model kit. So read the instructions. When you get it, look at the box and see what else you need, and really think about the child that you are buying this model kit for. Whittling supplies also, I would say, for a child of probably 9 and up would be good to have. We had one child that just like went hog wild with wood and saws. Our son is about 20, almost 21, and he's a welder now, so he has always worked with his hands. But all of us, when you have a big family, you're going to have at least one child that's like that. So you really want to think about how you can feed that child's need. And for that child, rarely did I give him really expensive things because he liked to take them apart. So like I would not give him an Ostheimer gnome. He loved the toy kitchen, but then as he got older, he was like, I want to make swords. I want to do things with wood. I want to hammer things. So he was always the child that we took to the parent day at the Home Depot because he wanted to build something. So, talk to your children, find out what it is that they want and what it is that they love to do. Okay, for the 6 to 8 group, I would again say Legos. I think that they're getting into more complex. They're starting to go from more generalized play to wanting to build more complex things at that stage. Definitely books. And I think for this age group and up, experiences are really important. And by that, I mean like, a day with just you. Or, we love like museum passes, or we have the zoo pass, or something that is sort of something that keeps on giving. And the great thing about the zoo is every time we go to the zoo, we think about grandma that got us the zoo pass and send her a text and say, thanks again, we're at the zoo again today, or something like that, so that it not only helps you remember the person that gave it, but the child then has a good time like the whole year. So we really love things like zoo passes, museum passes. In San Diego, there is a never-ending supply of places to get passes to, whether it be botanical gardens or, like I said, the zoo, or we have the Balboa Park. If you've been here, there's a bunch of museums there. So look at what's in your area, look at what's exciting and fun for you and your family, and ask for those sorts of things as gifts. Let's see, the aquarium too. The aquarium was great because the year that St. Nicholas brought aquarium passes, he also brought each child their favorite aquatic toy as a stuffed animal to sort of like help them see, hey, we got aquarium passes. So that was a lot of fun. For older kids, I would say like the 9+ group, I really like really good board games. And my favorite really good board game is trekking the national parks. I'm a little obsessed with the national parks. If you haven't seen the Ken Burns National Parks documentary, it's not really for kids. It's for older kids, but if you're like national parks like I do, or you like the wilderness or being outside, definitely check out the Ken Burns documentary on the national parks. It's on Amazon Prime. But that board game is one of my absolute favorite board games. We have a lot of fun, and it's fun because you get to learn about the geography of where all the national parks are, and there's a book in there that talks about each of the national parks, so it's a lot of fun. There are a lot of other great, really good board games, and if you follow us on Instagram, scroll back to our post in like July of this year. We went to a Comic-Con panel that was all about board games, and we took a picture of a bunch of board games that were like upper scale, higher end board games that be a lot of fun for kids. There's one that our kids play sometimes at co-op with our when we were studying farming, and I cannot remember, but it's about being a farmer, and it's about being a farmer, having to put your crops in, having to pay people to come and pick, like all of those things that sort of help with math skills, and it's fun at the same time. Because I asked my kids, was that boring? And they were like, no, it was so much fun. It was like Monopoly for the farm. So, and Monopoly is like something that I hate playing. So I will choose any other board game other than Monopoly. I don't know very many people that like to play Monopoly, unless they're children. Uno, we like to play Uno a lot. Other things that I would say for the older set would be like binoculars. And now I say for the older set, but one of the 6-year-olds in my Sunday school class she was like, I just want binoculars for Christmas. Oh, my heart. Binoculars are great, especially if you have a child that really loves the outdoors, or you love the outdoors and you're trying to sort of instill that. And with that, I would say a telescope or a microscope for an older child. I also brought down a couple of things. I really like, Eric got this for me. We're doing this fun thing for Advent where we're doing a gift a week, which does mean there's going to be less under the tree at Christmas, but it's a lot of fun anyway. This is the Naturalist's Notebook. And this is a lot of fun. It's I've been doing more nature study on my own and bringing some of it to the children, but I really wanted to get back into it because I hadn't done it for a long time, and and doing a lot more drawing and painting. And so I was really just looking for great resources. And this is a fun book. It's broken up into seasons, but what I love is the back has 5 years of 5 years of calendars for you to just write what's going on outside your window. And it's laid out so that you can sort of see 8 years at a time, so that 8 years or 5 years. Anyway, I can't remember. 8 months at a time. Sorry, 5 years though. So it allows you to sort of see what you've done each year and what you're seeing outside each year. And I think it has, because I know we won't be in this house, but we will be in San Diego. I think it has value even if you're planning on moving, because it's about you and your relationship with nature. So I really like this book. It's called The Naturalist's Notebook. There's a lot of sort of fun nature journal supplies that you can find on Amazon. Did you have a question over there, Daddy?
Just over the course of the video, different people mentioning things that they like.
Oh, very good. Anything good that I should mention?
Caitlin Cooley says she likes I wasn't sure how to pronounce it, the shike, the animals.
Oh, are those are the little, is it SH, like it ends with a K?
SCHEI.
Yeah, they're the little, and they're plastic, but they're great quality. They have like unicorns and little fairy people. Those are fun. That's a great suggestion.
And making our own peg dolls.
Yes, that's a really fun one. And we're actually next week we're going to be on a trip, and we're going to have a video on making our favorite gnomes. And so you'll get to see that, and we'll have some patterns. And so yes, peg dolls. Love peg dolls.
And Jess Ray says, lost my mind over a stock mark crayon the other day and had to really recenter.
Did you lose it? Here's what's great. People like Pamela at meadowsweetnaturals.com, that just sends you one. They just have one crayon if you lose one. I have totally been there.
And then Stacy Durich says, love the National Park board game idea.
Love it. That's like, I love that game. I love that game. And I have to remind my children, you're not buying the national parks, you're just visiting them. You can't buy them. They belong to the people. Okay, so other things that I would say for older children, and I said for 9 and up, but Soraya and I do these together, and she is 8.5. I really like the people at letsmakeart.com. So they send us 4 kits a month. And you can buy a kit without a subscription. So like when you buy a kit without a subscription, it just comes like this. It's in plastic. It has a postcard picture of what you're going to do. There's 2 pieces of paint paper in here. If there's a sketch, then there's the sketch for it, and you just use transfer paper to transfer it onto your paint paper, or you can sketch it out yourself if you'd like. But then when you buy the kit, people are asking me all the time how much paint comes in there. So when you buy the kit, every month you get paint that goes with your kit, and because there's enough in here for the 4 paintings and then some, because we have a ton of paint upstairs, a ton of paint. And these bottles are great. It comes in these bottles, and they're professional grade art supplies. And like this month, it came with some gold ink for some of the Christmas things that we're doing as well. So I find this to be a great deal. It gives me it forces me to sort of slow down and paint once a week at least. And Soraya and I paint together. Listen, there are many times where I'm like, okay, kid, I need to paint by myself. So I will paint with her, and then when she goes to bed, I will paint with myself. But I find things like that to be a nice way to not, because you're trying to figure out, like, what do you get that, especially like the 9 to 12 kids that are in this funky place of not really knowing where they want to go, and they're too young for things like makeup and too old for often dolls and wooden toys. So you kind of have to sort of figure out, and boys are different than girls. That was this stage that Sam was still really into Legos. And so there were times that he got Legos for Christmas. But I would say, if you really want to instill nature journaling, get everybody a nature journal and start nature journaling together. Having really good supplies on hand is, I think, super important. Painting together is fun. The models are fun. Let's see. And like I said, binoculars are always fun. We found and I did not bring it to the video, I'm sorry. We found a pocket microscope. If you look it up on Amazon, it's just called pocket microscope. And it's small, and you can take it with you anywhere, like when you're going on a nature hike. And it was really easy to put together. So those are some great little gifts. Now I'm going to cross over now to bigger kids. There comes a time when your kid's going to say something like, well, I really want a video game, or I really want to go to the mall, or I really want to, and you're like, oh my gosh, did I not teach you well enough? Yes, they're just growing up. It's okay. So how do you sort of navigate that when you've got little ones and big ones? So we've just always called media is media. So if you choose to spend that media time on a video game, fine, but that's still media. So you don't get any extra media just because you decided I was gonna play Mario Kart instead of watching a show. So you wanna have good boundaries before you let anything like that into your house. You want to have a good chat with your partner. These are our boundaries, right? Like talk together about it. And then when you go to that next space, because many of us Waldorf moms are flying blind when it comes to things like video games, you want to talk to somebody that knows what's in the game. You don't want to just sort of buy it because your kid thinks it's great and then you get it home and realize it's an M-rated game. Nope. So, all the games have ratings on them. And we've always had rules about those ratings. And if I haven't I haven't played many things. I was gonna say if I haven't played it. My extents is like Mario Kart and Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker. That's about it for me. But you want to ask somebody who has played that game what's in it, and it needs to be somebody you trust. Don't ask the lady at GameStop or the guy at GameStop. He's gonna be like, oh yeah, it's a great game, your kid's gonna love it. No, you want to actually ask somebody who knows, because if there's more violence in it than you're okay with, if there's more body parts in it than you're okay with, if there's more addictive qualities than you are okay with, then you want to know. So you want to ask somebody who really knows the answers to those things. I tend to try to stick to things that are on the Wii, or on the, that's not called that anymore, Daddy. What's it called?
Switch.
The Switch. Sorry. See, I'm like back in the 90s. Or the early 2000s, the Switch, that are games that are everybody can play. And that way it's something that everybody can play. They can play a 2-player, but as they get older, they're gonna wanna play on their own. And I think it's really important as parents to instill boundaries, and to like we've always made them have a lot of outside time or movement before they had anything like that. So, I think it's important that you have those boundaries, but I also think it's important that you ask your kids what it is that they want. And if they want something that is not what you want, then you have to start to figure out how to honor that, because you don't want to erode that relationship.
Well, and also, if you make something the forbidden fruit,
Right, they're going to
they're
want it
going to
more.
be that kid that wants to hang out at this other kid's house all the time.
Yep. Yeah, they're going to want it more.
So you have to figure out a balance, because the forbidden fruit thing could get you the opposite of what
Right.
you're trying for.
So, really examine that. And I'm not saying, oh, my kid wants a video game, I should run out and do it. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm definitely saying you need to examine the whole big picture, and where are they asking, what is it that they've seen that they're curious about, My kids like old stuff. So I was joking that I was going to, I don't know if you're going to bring them over here, Daddy, the lights. I was going to say these were great gifts, but I don't know if Eric can bring them over here. Because my kid would Samuel would be totally like all about these lights.
And
They're,
unplug it.
oh, he said unplug it. They're Pac-Man. And so this is like old retro stuff. And so I think that if you've got kids, if you've got a dad that's like Eric that likes old retro stuff, you're going to likely have at least one child that is all into it. Out of 5 children, Samuel is he's like a mini me. These lights crack me up. These are on Eric's desk. This Pac-Man and Ghost.
I was going to say, there are times where we have a kid that wants something that we really don't like. And there are times that if we have a conversation about it, and then they realize it's not a good idea. So
Right. For
it's
sure.
not just
For sure. It's not about willy-nilly
indulge
giving.
everything that they
No.
want. Because there are times that we've talked Soraya down. It's like, we don't want that in our house.
Right.
That you've got.
But it helps to really have the conversation, because I think often we get blindsided by their Christmas list and you're like, what? I had no idea this is what you wanted. So we sit down and we talk about it.
And they can be talked down.
Yeah, we sit down and we talk about it. We talk about why we don't want some things in our house, and why, okay, if we do this, then we definitely have to have boundaries about it, and those sorts of things. So I just want to encourage you to, and it's a hard space as you're going from the cute, fun, little Waldorf space to, oh my gosh, they have minds of their own and they want other things space, that you are not having your feelings hurt. I've totally been that mom. Don't have your feelings hurt. Move with them into this space, and look at what your family values are, and truly have a conversation with your partner about whether or not you can indulge some of these things. Overall, though, have a good time, because that's what's important, is that we love life and that we're having fun. So with that, I'm just going to leave you guys. We are recorded next week. We're going to do a video just on making our favorite gnomes, and these would be totally great for you to make for Christmas, or for any holiday, really. I mean, you could, if you celebrate Hanukkah, you could wrap them up and put them in as Hanukkah gifts. They are our favorite gnomes that I've been making for years and years. They're the gnomes that started my journey a lot of years ago. And so we're going to be making those, and that video will go live next Monday at 7 a.m. I'm going to be in Seattle with my good friend Anna Catherine Kerfman, who is our pedagogical director, and she and I are going to be working on a gigantic project for Waldorf Essentials that is going to take us a year to complete, that we are excited to tell you more information about later. But I think that's all. And then we're going to go to Utah with Harry and our oldest son and check out the lights at Temple Square. We're really excited for that. And I have to tell you, we've been in San Diego for 6 years. I don't have snow clothes, so I'm going out to source snow clothes today for all of us. That's going to be a fun trek. So I hope you have a wonderful week. One more question?
Oh, Becca Joy, she says, 4-year-old wants a Belle doll. I have a rule against buying mass-produced Disney character items, currently searching Etsy for Belle dolls. And then she says, how do you navigate toys that everyone has one of their own and your kid doesn't? They bounce house to house like in the 70s and are really left out if they don't have it.
You know what? I'm going to talk about our Anna and Elsa dolls that I sold. So go to Etsy, and if you can afford it, you should go to, is it Fairy Tale World? She has the most beautiful Waldorf dolls. Soraya was very much, even though we don't watch, I think sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, they must watch it all the time. We don't. But she was very attached to Anna and Elsa. And the reason why she was attached to Elsa is because Elsa also has special needs. Elsa has to be careful when she touches people. And so Soraya was very taken in when she was 4 and 5 with that concept of, I have to be careful and she has to be careful. So she wanted these dolls, and I was absolutely not going to buy something mass produced, because when I had this whole Waldorf world available to me, why would I do that? So I bought these cute little dolls. They were little. They were dollhouse size. And there was an Anna one and an Elsa one, and they were so cute. But they have the lady who makes those, like I said, I think it's either called Tale World, Tale World, on Etsy, but she has some beautiful dolls. And some of them are, oh, grab my gnome. He's over there on my desk, Danny. Some of them are just, of course, non-character. And then some of them are, she has a Captain America doll that is crazy good. So this is one of her dolls. He's my favorite. He is my little traveling rainbow gnome. But she makes all kinds of, and they come from, I want to say from Romania. So you'll want to order quickly if that's in your budget. They are a lot of fun. So no, I would try something like that. But when it comes to everybody else has them, I guess that's one of those things where I go, well, who's everybody else? In our set of friends, it would not be odd for our child to not have something like that. So that's been something that, we've really tried to cultivate friends that aren't in that space of everybody has this. Often they don't know about those things unless they're watching commercial TV. So I would not watch anything with commercials. And I think that if your daughter really loves Belle, who's a great character, by the way, then find a way to get her a Belle doll that is something that you would be okay with. And talk about, Belle loves books and all of those things. And I know that Disney gets a huge bad rap in the Waldorf world. I totally get it. Everybody's welcome to their opinion for sure, but I'm going to tell you all a secret. There's a lot of Waldorf people that work for Disney. There's a lot of Waldorf people that work for Lucasfilm. There's a lot of because the mass amounts of creativity that come from this sort of education, they're funneled into those kinds of jobs. So you are indirectly supporting people that have this education that way. George Lucas's kids went to Waldorf schools. Steven Spielberg's kids went to Waldorf schools. So, I think we have to sort of just take a deep breath and go, okay, so what is it about this? I don't want all the materialism. I don't want all the commercialism. I got you there. We go to Disneyland and rarely do we walk out with any kind of toy. I don't think we've ever walked out with a toy, actually. So, just take a deep breath. Just because you leap off one cliff doesn't mean you have to leap off the whole mountain. So have a good week. On that note, I'm going to be done. And I will see you guys, not next week. Well, I guess you'll see me because we'll have a video, but I'll see you the week after. And if you are doing our Advent calendar, and you have not signed up for the text notifications, you still can. You just go to Telegram. It's an app, Telegram app, and then look for Melissa Nielsen's Advent calendar, Advent self-care calendar, and you'll get because I'm giving like the calendar is this big, I'm giving this much in the text. So if you want my daily tidbits between now and the end of the month, hop on over and do that. All right. Hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you later. Bye.